Hello, everybody. My name is John Cox. I'm a software engineer at Google, and I work on open source education software. Recently, I've been working on adding third-party authentication to Open edX. Open edX is an education platform both for authoring online education content and for students to go and engage with that content. And what we added recently is the ability for students to sign in to the learning management system, the place that they go to actually engage with educational material, with Google and LinkedIn. And we've also made this system extensible so that if you want to allow your users to sign in with Twitter or Facebook or your university's single sign-on system, you can do that. In this video, what I'm going to cover is the configuration of the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a completely stock Open edX deployment that's running on my laptop here. And I'm going to go through how you get sign-in working with Google and LinkedIn, which are the two fully supported providers right now. So what I've got up in this tab on the right, I have Open edX running. And this is completely stock Open edX. When I go to the registration form, it looks exactly like you'd expect it to look. There's no third-party authentication here. This is the module is not enabled by default. The other two things that I have in this browser, I have the Google Developer Console and and LinkedIn. I actually need to search for the Developer Console. I can never remember where this is, so I always have to do it this way. Here we go, perfect. So here's the LinkedIn Developer Console. And you have to do a little bit of configuration on the Google side and the LinkedIn side to let Google and LinkedIn know that your application is allowed to talk to them and users are allowed to sign in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my edX server. So here we can see it before the feature is enabled. No new UI of any kind on the register page or on the login page. I'm going to stop the server. And the first thing that I need to do is go and create projects over on the Google side and the LinkedIn side. So I'll create a new project over here on Google. Now, every provider is going to have a different way that you create an application and establish the integration point. That is unavoidable, unfortunately. So I'm going to show you how to do it with Google and LinkedIn, but other providers will just be different. So when I created this project over on Google, there was a little bit of lag. You could see the screen refresh here. And then I click on, I believe it's APIs and auth, and then credentials. And what I need to do under this OAuth section, and this is all documented, by the way, on just the broader internet. You can find lots of instructions about this. Google provides instructions about this, but I just want to show you the full thing. So I'm going to create a new client ID here, and I say that I want a web application. I'm not doing anything with JavaScript origins, but I do need to set a redirect URI. This is part of how your server and Google servers will talk to each other. So the value for this is deployment specific for development. And I should have said at the beginning of this video, I'm doing completely stock edX development. Their recommended way of doing this is using what they call the dev stack under Vagrant. I'll provide a link to those instructions in the video description, and you'll want to go and follow those instructions before you start following these instructions. So the redirect URI for Google for the default configuration is localhost 8000/auth/complete/Google OAuth2 with a trailing slash like that. And I click Create Client ID. And I can see this throbber is showing me that it's doing some work here. Great. And now I need to copy and paste a couple of values here. And I need to take the client ID right here, and I need to take this client secret. What I need to do with them, let me bring up my text editor here, is in a bit, I'm going to go into an edX config file, and I'm going to have to copy and paste some data in. So the config file, that I'll show you that in a second, but the data that I need to pass in is, it's going to be a JSON file, and I'm going to need to put in an object, and you can see here it's called third-party auth. And this object contains configuration data for your providers. In the case of Google and LinkedIn, they need a key and a secret. These things identify your server to Google so they know who you are, and it prevents somebody else from pretending to be you. So over in the Google application, this client ID is the value for this social auth Google OAuth 2 key. So I'm going to copy and paste that in. And then the client secret here is the value for this social auth Google OAuth 2 secret. All right, so that is everything I need to do on the Google side. I'm going to go over to LinkedIn now, and I'm going to basically do the same thing, but you'll see that the UI is just a little different for this. So I go and I create a new application. And the website URL, this value doesn't matter. You'll want to set it to your production URL, of course. And then developer contact email, I'm using this testing account that I set up for the purposes of this video. I'm not going to use a real phone number here. And then down here is the actual configuration that you care about. I'm going to use all the defaults, except here, this redirect URL field, I have to populate. And it's going to look similar to, but not exactly the same as the previous value. So it is still HTTP localhost 8000 auth complete, but now I need to say LinkedIn OAuth 2 with the trailing slash. And then, yes, all of this I can leave with the default values. I have to agree to the terms of service, of course. I add the application, and then just like with Google, LinkedIn is going to give me a key that I'm going to put into this social auth LinkedIn OAuth 2 key. And they're going to give me a secret right here, secret key, that I'm going to put in for social auth LinkedIn OAuth 2 secret. And then I'm going to copy and paste this thing. I'm going to go over to my terminal window now. And in this window, I have connected to my edX installation. And I am the edX app user. I'm going to change directory to edX app. And then here are the config files that I need to change for my deployment. So the first thing that I'm going to do is in this LMS env.json file. I need to turn this is where I can turn the feature on. So I'm going to look for the features key in this file. This is just a big JSON object. And I'm going to look for the key called features, which you can see down here at the bottom. And I'm going to add a new item to the features map, which is enable third-party auth. And I'm going to set that to true and save the file. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open LMS auth.json. This is where the secrets and the keys, basically any secret value that is part of your configuration, that's where these values go. And I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the file. I'm going to take some pains here to make sure that I keep the JSON valid. And then I'm going to grab this map that I made and populated earlier. And you can see, again, the format of this, and it's in the article, is third-party auth, and then there's a map of providers. For each provider, you have the name of the provider and then the configuration key value pairs. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to paste it in at the bottom of this file. Save and quit. All right, so the first thing that I need to do now that I've saved my configuration file is I need to tell edX to rebuild the database, because the feature requires a couple of definitions in the database that are not present by default. So the command for that is paver update db -- settings equals devstack. And we can watch this command run. Great. Now that that's done, we can say paver devstack LMS. And this will bring up the LMS with our new configuration set. And as that's coming up, I'm going to switch back to Chrome here. And I am going to close my incognito window because in my incognito window, I've signed in to Google and LinkedIn. I don't want to have those credentials. I want to have a completely blank browser here. And I'll go to localhost 8000. This looks exactly like it did before, except now when I click on register, I can see the sign in with Google button and the sign in with LinkedIn button. I can click one of these and it takes me over to the sign in page. Here's the sign in page for Google. And here's the sign in page for LinkedIn. So we can see that the configuration that I put in was correct. I'm not seeing any errors here. And then from there, I'm off to the races and can use the feature. Thanks very much for watching this video. And again, check the description for a video demonstration of the full feature set and for links to documentation on the new feature.